Hey guys, I'm Nate. Welcome back to the workshop. I love the look and feel of sitting in front of a fireplace. If you don't have one though, it could be thousands of dollars and a lot of paperwork with the city to get one installed, if it's possible at all. Now the purpose of today's video is to come up with a substitute fireplace that can go into any building with no paperwork at all and for very little cost. Some of you may be asking, but why? Because it's cool. Plus I really love building stuff that you can make look really cool. This is a fancy decorative piece that looks surprisingly good if you do it well. This project is going to be broken up into two videos. In the first one, we'll build the structural shape of the fireplace, and in the second one, we'll do all of the decorative bits that make it look like a real brick construction. Most of the materials we'll need are these sheets of foam core board and these sheets of 4mm craft foam. These foam core boards are 20 inches by 30 inches. They are available at a whole lot of different craft stores, and these ones I actually got at the dollar store. They are surprisingly $1 each, so that's a pretty good price. This is the same stuff that we've used before with our styro slicer to make stuff like this fighter jet. These foam core sheets often come in a variety of colors. White and black are the most common. We're going with black just because it's a little bit easier to film. These craft foam sheets come in a variety of colors and thicknesses. We're using the thickest kind that I saw available. It's 0.2 inches or about 4mm thick. The color of these foam sheets shouldn't really matter because they will be covered in paint, but I did get a couple that are fairly close in color to the brick look that we're going to want. To hold everything together in this fireplace, we're also going to need a good glue gun. Now that we have all of our supplies, let's start building. To start, let's grab 4 pieces of our foam core board that will become the front and back of the fireplace. These boards are 20 inches wide and 30 inches tall. We want to keep the 30-inch height, but we actually want to take 1 inch off of each of our boards so that our final fireplace is 30 inches tall and 38 inches wide. You may be wondering, why don't we just leave it the full 40 inches wide so we don't have to cut a 1-inch strip off? The actual reason for that is that the spacing of the bricks will work out much nicer if it's 38 inches wide instead of 40. Anytime we cut strips or pieces off of our foam core, don't throw them away because we can still use them later. We're going to glue the edges of these 2 pieces of foam core together, and those will become the front of our fireplace. The front of our fireplace, however, is going to have an opening in it, so let's draw and cut that out before we glue the pieces together. We'll want the whole opening to be 22 inches wide, which means we'll take 11 inches off of either side. The version of the fireplace that I'm building will have a slight arch at the top of it. If you want to make a different shape, you're welcome to do that as well. Anything can work. My opening will be 22 inches wide. It will come up approximately 17.5 inches at the sides, and then in the middle, it will come up about 2 inches higher than that, to about 19.5, maybe 20 inches. I have my 2 marks at 11 inches in, so now I'm just going to measure 17.5 inches up from there. And now a mark in the center, about 2 inches higher, somewhere around 19.5, maybe 20 inches. I now have the 2 sides of my opening marked and where the top of my opening will go. So what I need to do is draw a nice curved line that connects the 2 sides, running through my 19.5 inch mark in the center. Now let's take our ruler and our razor blade and cut those pieces out. On the curve, of course, I can't put a ruler up against it, so I am just gonna have to freehand it with the razor blade a little bit. With those 2 pieces cut out, you can now see the shape the front of our fireplace is starting to take. Once again, don't throw away the pieces that you cut out because we're still going to use them. Now that those pieces are cut, we're ready to glue the 2 halves of the front of our fireplace together. With our glue gun, let's run a bead along the edge of one board, lay it down flat on the table and press it flat, and then press the other board into it so the edges line up perfectly. Clean away a little bit of this glue. If you do this while the glue is too hot, you will burn your hands. The fact that I'm wearing gloves actually does help a little bit. It protects my fingers from the heat of the glue. We've now cut and glued the front panel of our fireplace. To make it a little more structurally sound, let's add some strips of foam core to the back of it, glued onto both sides. This will really help it keep its shape and prevent it from cracking if there's any movement. Let's use one of the 1-inch strips that we cut off the side of our panels and cut a few pieces 4 inches long. With our front panel assembled, let's set it aside and make the back panel. The process for the back panel is the same as the front, except we don't cut out an opening. So let's cut off 1-inch strips from the sides and then glue it together down the seam in the middle. With the last piece, we used 3 strips of foam core to reinforce the seam. We want to do the same thing on this side, but we need to make sure that those strips aren't going to be visible because it'd be pretty ugly. So let's be careful about where we put them. Laying the front piece on top of the back piece, we can see that there's a portion that will not be visible, and we can put our reinforcing strips there. Let's also put one down at the bottom, which will be used to help build the bottom of the fireplace later. There we have it. Now we've built the back panel of the fireplace. Let's go back to the front panel and add some side and support pieces. For the side panels, let's make them the same width as these pieces that we already cut out from the front. As you recall, these panels are 11 inches wide. Since we've used the entire height of the board as the panel, our fireplace is 30 inches tall. That means for our side panels, let's cut out two pieces that are each 11 by 30 inches. We now have our two side panels cut out, and we'll also use these two pieces we cut from the front as interior side panels. It's going to be important that all of our side panels are at a nice 90-degree angle from our front and back panels. So let's cut a few angle pieces that will help us keep those side panels just the way we want them. I'm making some 2-inch squares that I'm then going to cut diagonally to give us some nice 90-degree angles. Now let's secure these right angle pieces to the back side of our front panel. With these glued down, when we attach our side panel, we'll have a nice 90-degree guide to be sure that it's aligned straight up and down. With these pieces that we cut out of the middle and are now using as interior side pieces, make sure that you have the narrow end lined up with the size that matches it. You don't want to take the wide end and put that on the edge here, or you'll have a lot of weird overlap and you might be able to see the narrow end through the back of the fireplace. Just attach it as though it were a door that you cut off and is swinging open. That's the first two panels attached. Now let's attach the ones on the other side. With the edges attached to the front of our fireplace, we can now see that it stands up on our own, and we're getting a really good look at how it's going to come together. Now we need to attach our back panel to our side panels. The main body of the fireplace is progressing really nicely, so now let's add a floor right here. This piece of support on the back is actually going to help hold up our floor. Let's add a 1-inch strip connecting these two front points here, and then we'll have a panel that goes on top of all of that. Before we add our strip, let's cut out the shape that we're going to need for that panel. We could grab a new foam core board, but we have these two pieces that we cut off of our side panels. So to avoid wasting too much material, let's use these to make our floor. One of these panels alone isn't deep enough to reach the back of our board. That's 11 inches back, and these are only about 9 inches wide. So let's glue these two pieces together, and then we'll have a large enough board that we can cut out the right size and shape for the bottom of our fireplace. This piece should now fit nicely into the space we've got. We still have some leftover 1-inch strips, so let's cut one of those to be the right size to fit right in this gap. To start attaching our floor, let's just run a bead along this support we have on the back. With the back little bit of glue attached, now let's run a bead along the front and press that down as well. Now we have a couple inches in the back and the whole front attached, but our sides and especially our back corners are still very loose. Looking at the bottom of the fireplace, we can see how that bottom panel isn't very well connected everywhere, so what we want to do is reinforce all along the edges to make sure it really is holding itself up well. To reinforce it a little bit extra in the corners, let's even take a couple of 1-inch pieces and glue those down so it's really getting support from the sidewall as well. Our bottom is now pretty well attached, but we are going to want it to hold a little bit of weight. So to add some support, let's just take a few 1-inch pieces and glue those around. Those will reach down from this panel onto the floor where our fireplace is resting. There we have it. The floor of the fireplace is now really nicely attached, It's stuck on both front and back, all of the sides, and it has some extra support in the middle. At this point, the main body of the fireplace is mostly complete, so what we need to do is add a top piece, a mantel that goes on top of the fireplace. When we made the front and back pieces of our fireplace, we trimmed off 1 inch from either side of the panels. Now we want to have a mantelpiece that extends 1 inch over the edge. Making the bricks fit was one reason to trim down the edges. This is the other. With a new piece of foam core, we need to cut out 4 panels that reach from the middle of our fireplace out to 1 inch beyond the edge. We also want the mantelpiece to extend 1 inch beyond the front of our fireplace, so we need to take a measurement that will take us from the very back of the fireplace to 1 inch beyond the front. Our side walls we know are 11 inches, but we also have to account for the thickness of the foam core itself. Currently our whole fireplace is approximately 11 5/16 inches wide. So now we need to cut 4 pieces that are 20 inches long and 12 5/16 inches wide. Perfect. 3 more of those. Now these 4 pieces will become the top and bottom of our mantel. First, let's glue the edges of 2 of the pieces together. Now one of these is the bottom and one of these is the top, and to secure the 2 together, we want to take some 1 inch strips and go all the way around one of them and then attach the other one on top of those. Now before we secure the top piece onto this bottom piece, I want to do sort of the same thing that we did with the very bottom of the fireplace, and that's just add a few little cross pieces to add a little bit of structural support onto our mantel. There we go, we've got the front attached. Let's try attaching the side here. Front and the sides. Now let's just try and get a little bit onto the back. There we go. Our mantelpiece is now constructed and holding itself together pretty well. There's a couple little bits of cleanup I want to do, and I have a little bit of a lip, so I want to cut that off so it's nice and flush all the way across this front. There we have it. Our mantel is now complete and rests nicely on top of our fireplace. This whole part of the fireplace has used 7 pieces of the foam core build. Since I bought them at the dollar store, that's only $7 for a whole fireplace. Not too bad. We're not going to attach the mantel to the body of the fireplace just yet. We're going to wait until we've added some more of the decorative elements to the fireplace and the mantel itself. Thanks for joining us for this video. Join us tomorrow as we finish up our fireplace, and remember to come gear yourself up with products and merch at thekingofrandom.com. See you there. It only probably takes 20 to 30 seconds to cool down, enough to the point where you can let go of it, but it still seems like it takes a long time.